prelims specific topic, because as you know that in a prelims exam there is some kind of short question is used to ask. So as we can see here, it is the remaining topic that was very important, but we will discuss in the next class. So first one, Ukraine seeks to join the EU, because Ukraine, as we can see at the present days, there was a Russia-Ukraine conflict is there. So basically, what in a short summary, if I can tell you that why the Russia has wanted to invade the country. So because the Ukraine wanted to establish relation with NATO as well as EU, so that we can give a shape of that particular country, and this is what that is against the conflict of interest of Russia. So Ukraine seeks to join EU, that is European Union, as first round of talks with Russia's ends. So at least civilians killed, as we can say. So you have to understand what was the role of European Union, because you have to understand the nitty-gritty of exactly like what exactly the role of European Union. So European Union is the work of what exactly the European Union is doing these days. So as we can see, okay, so you got to know that what the interest of Ukraine in the terms of like Ukraine seeks to join EU as a first round of talks with Russian ends. So you have to understand the first is what is the role of European Union in terms of Ukraine interest. So what is the role of EU? So we have to first understand like a role of EU. So first one is like European Union is political and economic union. It is a political and economic union that is a 28 member states, original inner 6: Belgium, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands and West Germany. So how you will learn all this? Here the initial letter BFI, so which is stand for like Belgium, France, Italy and LNW, which is Luxembourg, Netherlands and West Germany. So established in 1993. And how the European Union was established, by the which treaty the European Union was established, with the Maastricht Treaty. So Maastricht Treaty, with the help of this, you have read about in the world history. So with the help of this treaty that was established. Where is the headquarters? Brussels, Belgium. And EU has developed an internal signal market. What was the aim? What exactly the aim to establish EU? To ensure the free movements of people, basically, right? So European Union was the main aim to ensure the free movements of people, goods, services and capital within the internal market. That is the main that was the main purpose of European Union. Common policies on they are making on the trade and agriculture, fisheries and regional developments. So EU represents itself as at United Nations, World Trade Organizations, G7 and G20 nations. So as we got to know, basically main work of European Union was to free movements of people, goods, services and capital within the internal market. Second thing, common policies on trade, agriculture, fisheries and regional developments. European Union represents itself as a UN, WTO, G7 and G20 as well. So basically the things is the Ukraine wanted to establish a relation with the EU. So for the interest of their own country. Now thinking about here it is done. So here is Eurozone, here is Schengen area. So Eurozone is officially called a Euro era. It is a monetary union of 19 of the 28 EU members. Adopted the Euro as their common currency. Euro is the common currency and the sole legal tender. Legal tender, what does it mean? Legal tender, which means that we can say that no people in a territory can unaccept this as a concern of debt. So basically in a territory no people can no people can deny it. So that is known to be a legal tender. Because this term has been asked in the your prelims exam. So legal tender, which means you have to be accept. We are bound to accept this. That is known to be a legal tender. Established in 1999, other members like except Denmark and UK are obliged to adopt the euro in the future. Monetary authority of the eurozone is the euro system. And what is Schengen area? Abolition of passport and other border countries at mutual borders. Established in 1995, a single jurisdiction for the international travel and common visa policy. Okay, so if you look it very carefully, EU and map, so as we can see here is a eurozone, EU members in the eurozone and EU members not in the eurozone. So that has to be mentioned in the map, and here is the European Union. So once you look it very carefully, that is in the eurozone. Eurozone basically that was a we can say a vastly form of European Union, because most of the country in eurozone that is from the European Union. Here it is the terms is in these days here SWIFT. This is not a vehicle of SWIFT. So West unless the SWIFT is what basically is a messaging system through which like you can send money from one bank to another. So basically the European Union, United States, United Kingdom and other allies have strictly stepped on the intensity of their sanctions in Russia launched invasions last week. So basically what exactly the news is? West unleashes SWIFT, and how the questions in prelims exam has to be framed. So they will ask you in that context like SWIFT is mentioned sometimes in news is what? So basically SWIFT is a messaging service. So we will get to know what exactly this is. So as you can see what exactly SWIFT is. So SWIFT is basically we can say messaging network used by banks and financial institutions globally for quick and faulty exchange of information pertaining to financial transaction. SWIFT connects more than 11,000 banks, and we can say security organization over 200 countries and territories. So we can understand the roles of SWIFT. So basically we can say each part how the things is going on. SWIFT is a messaging network used by banks and financial institutions globally for quick and faulty exchange of information. Each participant of the platform is assigned a unique 8-digit SWIFT code. Make sure that, because in the process you have to understand, because sometimes they will ask you in the prelims exam like Aadhaar card, like about the 4G Volt program. So the technical information they will ask. So here it is, we can say like each participants of the platform is assigned to a unique 8-digit SWIFT code or a bank identification code, which is a BIC. Is a person says in New York, for example, if a person say in New York with a Citibank account, a person who is residing in a New York with a Citibank account wants to send money to someone with a HSBC account in London, the payee would have to submit to his bank the London-based beneficiary account number along with 8-digit SWIFT code, similar to like IFSC code is required for the like domestic transaction, like in the same territory. This is not valid for the international transaction. Make sure that. So this is the basic things you have to understand. So SWIFT is basically messaging service, right? And this is required once you are going to a sender is from the Citibank to HSBC bank. So what you need to do, the London-based beneficiary account number along with 8-digit SWIFT code. 8-digit SWIFT code of the letters bank city would then send a SWIFT message to HSBC. So how the process is going on, how the SWIFT is working. So once that is received and approved, the money would be credited to the required amount. So SWIFT is merely a platform that sends message and does not hold any securities of money. To make sure that it provides a standardized and reliable communication to facilitate the transaction. Foreign funding would take a hit, making it entirely reliant on domestic investors. So basically SWIFT first used in 1973. SWIFT first used in 1973, went live in 1977 with 518 institutions from 22 countries. So that is the importance of SWIFT. So basically SWIFT Oversight Forum was established in 2012. G10 participants were joined by central banks of India, Australia, Russia, Southern Korea, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, South Africa, and we can say Republic of Turkey as well, and People's Republic of China as well. So basically SWIFT role is kind of messaging service through which the help of this the transaction of money is happening. So as we can see in the news as well, it had mentioned. Okay, so SWIFT is basically, we can say, Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, or SWIFT. So basically the full form is not required as well, but you got to know the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, or SWIFT, is a platform bank to exchange information about money transfer. This will not give you the security. It is similar to, like, we can say Google Pay is working like. So money transfer, it acts as a carrier of the messaging containing payment instruction between financial institution. Money moving from one account to another often passes through multiple banks before landing in the final destination. Particularly if we can say if it involves a foreign currency. The Belgium-based system is overseen in G10 central banks as well as European Central Bank, handles millions of daily payments. And why the SWIFT important for countries? The crucial role of SWIFT can be caused by the fact that when some Iranian banks were cut off from SWIFT in 2012, its oil export fell sharply. So you can see the impacts of economy as well. As you can see, the recent Russia-Ukraine invasion or crisis, we can say, the lots of Moscow metros, Moscow in a metro that were disrupted because of the reason the Google Pay service and the Apple Pay service was not happening in that particular country. So that's why people were suffering on that. So we can say why the SWIFT important for the country, because its oil exports fell sharply from the more than 3 million barrels in a day. So exclusion from SWIFT could cripple Russians' ability to trade with the world. Western banks also have an outstanding exposure to Russia, which would be difficult to collect as SWIFT is unplugged. Foreign banks is also an assets owned by the Russian-based entities. Okay, so basically how will the exclusion impact India? India might face interruption and delay in an arms import to flowing exclusion of Russia from SWIFT. Bilateral trade between India and Russia stand for data you not need to remind it all. So like India mostly imports crude oil, petroleum products. We are mostly importing crude oil, petroleum products, coal, fertilizer, gold, and precious stones and precious metals. But India and Russia bilateral payments are made in rupee and sometimes in other currency like euro for both imports and export. So curbs may not have a major impact on payment system. So because we are mostly dealing with the rupee, and as well as sometimes like in a export and import we are using like euro currency as well. What other action that Russia faces? So this is not needed for that particular part. So this article will basically, as we can see, UN environment meet 175 nations. 175 nations signed mandate to curb use of plastic. So basically, how it happened? So as we can see, that we have Paris Agreement as one of the most significant international environment laws in the history. Paris Agreement, which we have lots of terms it has been used. So I have highlighted in this part 175 countries, parties of United Nations Environment Assembly, on Wednesday signed mandate which makes legally binding for the signatory to address the full life of plastic from production to disposal, to end plastic pollutions, because we can see it will take lots of time to decay of plastics, which is very harmful of your environment. So International Negotiation Committee will now be tasked with the drafting and ratifying over the mandate over next 2 years. A global plastic treaty adhering to the blueprint blueprint which have a kind of some kind of like earlier how can we say blueprint, like such kind of like earlier convention, or earlier not exactly convention, like earlier planning. So that is known to be a blueprint. So blueprint laid out in the will join the Montreal Protocol, as we have understand this one more Montreal Protocol. Paris Climate Agreement as one of the most significant international environment laws in history. According to the mandate, the treaty will tackle the whole life cycle of plastic, not just post-consumer waste. The mandate recommends measure of tackle plastic production, which now is to the almost quadruple by 2050, and take up 10 to 30% of global carbon budget. Endangering climate, it also recommends addressing the toxic burden of plastic. So we have to understand the use of e-plastic and nanoplastic or plastic uses. So all these three articles is important in terms of your prelims exam is concerned. So as we can see in the Nairobi Convention of 2nd March 2022, against the backdrop of geopolitical turmoil, the UN Environment Assembly shows multilateral cooperation and its best at that. So basically Nairobi Convention is also important because this convention will somehow is useful in terms of Nairobi Convention is the partnership between governments, civil society and private sector working towards a prosperous Western Indian Ocean region and healthy river coast and oceans. So Nairobi Convention is important. So as we can see is here, plastic production soared from 2 million tons to 1950 to 348 million tons 2017. Plastic can harm human health, potentially affecting fertility, hormonal, metabolic and neurological activity, and open burning of plastic contributes air pollution. By 2050, greenhouse gas emission associated with plastic production, use and disposal would account of 15% of allowed emissions under the goal of limiting global warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade. More than 800 marine and coastal species are affected by this pollution through ingestion, entanglement, and other dangers. Some 11 million tons of plastic waste flow annually into oceans. This may triple by 2040. So a shift to a circular economy can reduce the volume of plastic entering ocean by over 80% by 2040, reducing virgin plastic production by 55%. So basically, as we can see, use of plastic is day by day increasing. So what exactly the government should plan to reduce the usage of plastic, and basically in the respect of environment. So in the place of plastic, we can use some other jute product so that we can reduce the plastic, because government is trying to ban the product. But matter is that government is not going to emphasize some other product like which is the similar to that things. So because if you do not have a alternative projects, alternative things, how the like customer who is daily usage, they are using the plastics bags, so that is very harmful for the environment. So if you do not have any alternative and no alternative is there, so that's why people are bound to use the plastic products. So here is UNEP. What is the role of UNEP? So United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP established in 1972, UNEP. So it is an agency of United Nations. So make sure that the UNEP, as we have recently discussed, UNEP with United Nations Environmental Program is an agency of United Nations and coordinates its environmental activities, assisting developing countries in implementing, make sure it's not a developed countries. So UNEP is assisting developing countries which like India in implementing environmentally sound policies and practice. It with the voice of environment within UN. It is found by Maurice Strong and first director as a Stockholm Conference in June 1972. UNEP acts as a catalyst, advocate, educator and facilitator to promote the wise use of sustainable development of the global environment. The basic fact you must know about in your prelims exam. It has overall responsibility for environmental problems among United Nations agencies, but international talks on specialized issues such as addressing climate change. Organization is headquartered in Nairobi, Kenya. So UNEP headquarters is located in Nairobi, Kenya. So it was formation in 5th June 1972. This one date is not important, but that one year is important. Sometimes in the prelim section exam, they will used to ask about like UNEP established in 1978. That was the wrong information. Established in 1972. And headquarters is Nairobi, Kenya. And it was founded by the result of Stockholm Conference, right? So in this class, we got to know the lots of facts and figures. So that was important in terms of prelims exam. So read it very, make very short and crisp note for the prelims, and make some vast on elaborate notes for the mains exam. So that was very important in terms of your examination is concerned. So guys, in the next class, we'll got to know the topic that is based on editorial. So that was important in terms of your basically prelims and as well as mains exam is concerned. So guys, keep care and stay happy and subscribe our channel, which is Tarun IAS, and we'll meet in the next class. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.